Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Semi-Perfect Podcast. It is June, and it is frickin' hot. Summer has arrived, at least over here in Southern California, where we have a very stacked podcast before us today. Not only will we be going over some media topics, because a couple things happened the last 2 weeks, but we will also be previewing MLP MSP F. F is for Final Draft. So.
Oh, no.
But don't worry, he won't be there. So, it is the last MLP MSP that'll be happening. Previously, the last one was 2016. And, they brought it back so they could give it a send-off. We'll get more into that later. But let's start with our food posts, Sarah. Oh, wait, no, let me tell you who's here. Toodles.
Hi.
Laura. Saberspark.
I am here.
And Paleo.
Paleo.
You respect me.
Dang. All right, let's jump into our food posts. For anyone that's new, doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, food posts are something that we like to do when we kick off the podcast, as usual. And we like to know what you are eating during the podcast because we love food. All right, Sarah.
First off, we got Cadet Red Shirt. Can't make it to the podcast just yet since I'm on the road to MLP MSPF.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. See you guys there.
Yep.
Travels.
They have grapes and goldfish.
Yeah, and Pringles.
Nice.
I thought you were saying that they have that at MSP. I was like, that's neat, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That is why we're going to Minneapolis this weekend, is for grapes and goldfish. All right.
Is that what Minneapolis is known for? Grapes and goldfish?
Yeah, Minneapolis is known for grapes and goldfish. Anime Guy 01 says, here's some cheddar burgers with bacon on pretzel buns. I don't hear a single thing wrong
that
with
sounds
this.
good.
Yeah, it does. And it looks good. So we will...
I love pretzel buns.
I love bacon. And then Princess Deadpool says, burger of the bacon cheese variety. My God, everyone's on the same page here tonight. With a mysterious... The drink is called Mysterious. It's a mixture of dark berry, dark berry, Dr.
Pepper.
Minneapolis with my dark pepper. Damn it, I knew I was going to screw up one of
But
those.
the gin is named because of who's on the soda can. What are all of you having? Who's on the soda can?
I'm guessing it's dead something.
There's like a dude
Turtle
with a...
Man.
Oh, Mysterio or whatever the fuck.
I don't know. I don't
Am
know.
I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Doodle, doodle.
Alright, now we gotta go to notifications.
You remember that movie, The Master of Disguise?
I never
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yes.
Was it
so well.
That movie was weird. That was like peak Nickelodeon randomness.
It wasn't Hero. I thought one of you sounded like Hero for a second, and it was freaking me out. Taylor says, I have a couple slices of Domino's for tonight. Okay, so I'll be honest. When I was reading this, I swore that Domino's was actually the word for Doritos. And I'm like, wait, do they make
What?
Doritos pizza? And then I got more confused when he just said Doritos, and I'm like, is he making a joke? But it says Domino's because Domino's pizza is a thing. The heat's getting to me, guys.
Pizza is shaped like Doritos.
It is. Thank you.
We have
Yeah,
another
you're
one
right.
from Nora.
Oh, and Nora, what does she have to say?
Hey, it's my perfect pod coming to you live from my new apartment where I'm watching the Hooves line from Everfree Northwest and fulfilling a prophecy made by ACRacebest. I made pizza cupcakes. I made both savory and sweet, both of which are really good.
They're good, Laura.
Bienvenidos, Via Serena.
Wait, click on this. I gotta see these. Okay, so I see the sweet version, but look at that.
Yeah.
Pizza cupcakes. Nora, when you go famous someday for this, all I ask is a 15% commission for my
Oh,
input.
look who's on the screen.
I don't recognize that individual. Do you?
I do.
Okay. That must be Hirosashii.
And I think that's it for today.
All right. Well, cool. That works out because we have a whole bunch of steps. What the hell?
You got a whole
I
bunch of
can't talk.
steps.
What did you put in my water?
poured
So,
it.
like we said, summer's kind of officially kicking off in some parts of the country. But I'm curious. 2 weeks ago, we had our podcast. So let's start with Laura and Saber. Anything new over the last 2 weeks for you guys?
I feel like I was doing something, but I can't recall what it was. Oh, I went down to Atlanta this past weekend to see my family. That was the trip. And then that's about it. Just been working on videos and trying to... I'm excited about this weekend. It's it definitely crept up on me for MSP. But how about you, hon?
Mainly just been going to work. I got to babysit the pugs. So two of my really good friends have 2 pugs, and I got to help take care of them over the weekend while the owners were away. But mostly just kind of hanging out at home.
Nice. Paleo, last 2 weeks, anything new?
Not too much. Went to see my mom for her birthday last weekend. She turned 55.
Double numbers.
See, I did a lot of live streaming this past weekend with all the E3 stuff. Like Tom and Hero joined me for a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
And Saber joined me for the Nintendo one too.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Sweet. We'll be discussing a little bit of E3 later in the podcast. But yeah, that's obviously been a big thing. Big topic.
Yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah.
you're holding something.
I am. I got the 16-inch Detective Pikachu plush, and he came in the mail
cool.
today. I love him so much.
When I walked in the door, she was like that villain in Inspector Gadget. You know, all I could see is like the back of her, and then she slowly turns around, just petting her Pikachu menacingly.
Yes.
It made me very uncomfortable.
Not too bad.
But she loves it.
Yes.
Look at those eyes.
I bought Breath of the Wild, and I've been playing it.
Cool.
I'll probably finish it by the time that the sequel comes out.
Nice. Nice.
How about you, babe?
Me? Thanks for asking. So I decided 2 weeks ago for the weekend that I was like, you know what? I've never been to Idaho. So I went to Idaho.
Yeah.
Potato land! Potato land!
I was like, God, what haven't I done? And I got sunburnt in Idaho. Truth be told, it was warmer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, we were covering an event up there. And I only once ended up getting anything potato up there. And it was, of course, authentic French fries. So.
French fried.
Yeah. Other than that, released Bronies React this week.
Yeah.
Which means I haven't had a lot of sleep the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And just kind of bridge the gap with that.
Oh yeah, we went to Knott's Berry Farm too.
We went to Knott's Berry Farm last weekend for my, or this past weekend for my dad's birthday. So yeah, that was fun. I'm guessing we're not discussing any of that.
We'll see if we can get into it.
There's a specific topic from that trip that we want to get into, but we'll see if we have time.
Yeah.
For later.
Oh my God, you're pregnant.
No.
My dad's pregnant.
I knew it.
And oh crap! Now you made me forget what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
Oh no! So the bonus to Bronies React is gonna come out tomorrow morning. It was supposed to come out this morning, but there was a joke in there that I left in that I'm like, Sarah, should I leave this joke in? And she was like, no. Well, it was
the Spartans, wasn't it?
No, it was actually a joke I made.
Yeah.
So the bit was that it was part of our introduction initially, where Sarah was joking about how if you want to get into Bronies React, all you have to do is marry someone on Bronies React. And right after she said that, she went to take a drink. So I was like, I gotta try and make her do a spit take. So I followed it up with, or just fuck them. And she just gave me a look. And I was gonna include that, but she's like, eh. And I was like, yeah.
Don't be giving people ideas now. I'm already up to my neck.
Which neck are we talking about? All right. So thank you for coming.
My penis.
The Semi-Perfect Podcast. Thanks for coming in to all you youngsters watching out there. God bless.
It's over now. Go.
We had one more food post, by the way, that came in from It's Your Blue Boy Lightning, saying, munching on some churro cereal while working on some art for a new Adagio and OC fic I'm working on. And for Laura, I am working to set up my red bubble, so I will tell you when the Adagio print is available.
Oh my god.
They are working that hard, aren't they? They're like, all right. All right. So, Sarah.
Yeah.
All right. Like we said, we have a stacked night, so we're just going to be breezing through some of these topics. By the way, I want to mention Hirosashii has arrived.
Hey.
Hey, guy.
Hey, how you doing, Hero?
Doing all right.
Busy day.
No, not really. It's just something came up around like 8. Someone needed my help.
Sorry to hear.
Yep.
So how,
I
besides
think we're having
that,
some connection issues on our end. We apologize.
Speak for me.
Laura doesn't.
Are we cutting out at all for you guys?
No.
No,
No.
Hero was
It's
cutting out a
weird.
little bit.
So the Discord
I'm
on
cutting
our
out?
end is cutting out pretty heavy, and I don't know why.
Oh.
Oh.
No, it's not you, Hero. It's Saber and Laura. For some reason, we are cutting out.
No,
for them.
I meant
like, all of us.
Sarah said that I was cutting out a
A
little,
little bit. It wasn't terrible.
Huh, okay.
Well, I'll put it this way, Hero. Anything good from the last 2 weeks?
Oh. I don't know why. When you said I'll put it this way, I was like, oh, wait, like friend roasted. And it's like anything good from the past 2 weeks had nothing to do with you. I have no idea why I thought I was gonna get roasted. It's just because he said, let me put it this way, I guess. But anything good in the past 2 weeks? I solved a really hard problem at work. I know that's boring, but like it's very relieving when you like have a deadline and you don't know the answer, and then suddenly the answer comes up, and you're like, okay, I can like breathe and sleep, and you know.
Yeah.
So that's big for me. Also, oh yes, the Nintendo E3 or Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, I know we'll talk about that. That was big for me specifically because I like stupid niche stuff, and I wish I didn't. I wish I liked Call of Duty. It'd be so much easier. So much easier. But yes.
Nice. Well, cool. So it looks like Laura and Saber are back, so hopefully their stuff is awesome. And Lammy, sorry. Lammy was
is. If we ever do a poster with all the people who've been Bronies React on it, Lammy better be on that poster.
I agree.
Hey, Lammy was part of it. Had a title and everything.
Thank you. Lammy appreciated that.
I knew he would. So, the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 My Little Pony episodes that have come by. One of them had a very interesting name, which was Going to Seed.
Yeah. So first up,
That was the name of the episode?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's stupid. All right, first up, we're gonna put in a spoiler screen.
Yeah, my bad.
So as long as this screen is up, we're talking about the new My Little Pony episodes. So if you haven't seen them, mute for a bit. We'll catch you later when this screen goes down.
Yes.
No.
By the way, hi, Jack's Blade.
All right. So going to Seed. She gave her his seed. In this episode, Applejack's plans for an orderly harvest go awry when Apple Bloom becomes obsessed with catching a magical creature she thinks can help them. So basically, like the pumpkin, whatever.
Great pumpkin.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, what was the
Great pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
pumpkin
and
got
Applejack's
it.
an atheist.
What's that? Big Mac's an atheist?
No, Applejack.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that during the episode. She's like, she doesn't believe in God, and she's like, don't let Apple Bloom think there's no faith in this world. And
It's basically the Apple family's version of Santa Claus.
Yeah, it is Santa Claus.
no, it was God.
It's weird because, like, for this entire episode, this is gonna sound so stupid. This is how I feel, though.
Mm.
I didn't feel like I was watching an episode. I felt like I was just watching Applejack and Apple Bloom kind of exist for 22 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
This
It doesn't
episode
feel-
didn't really
yeah.
catch me at all.
Yeah, not really.
So that's a bad thing, the way you're saying it.
It's not even bad. It's not good. It's just a statement. like,
Did it feel like
an episode?
it felt like they hit record without like seeing a conflict much?
Right.
Yeah. This episode was actually, some people don't know this, but it was inspired by Saberspark.
Ah.
Was inspired by what? Sorry, you cut out there.
It was inspired by you,
Oh,
Saber.
really? What did I do?
You sleepwalk.
You know what? Yeah, I do. I go around and I kick trees and I get naked.
And have glowing red eyes for some reason.
I think it's pretty funny how Big Mac also is like, it took me all day to draw these 3 colors on a
Yeah.
map. I guess he has no fingers. He's creating earth ponies, so maybe that's why.
Wow.
He has his crayons in the corner. They're like, let's
Yeah,
make
he's
Big
got-
Mac feel.
Yeah, I gotta go to my work
Crayons?
desk and it's got like crayons and like.
Everyone says that word differently.
Yeah, Race, you said
You
crayons.
said crayons.
Crayons.
Yeah.
Crayon.
Crayons.
How do you
Crayons
say
sounds
See,
like
Crayon.
People
crayons
crayon.
sounds like
Crayon.
a Protoss
Crayons.
unit.
That's how it's spelled.
Release the crayons.
The whole podcast is just saying the word crayon.
Raisin
Crayons.
crayon.
Crayon sounds more like crane.
Or when you said it sounds like a unit.
See,
Yeah, Protoss. The
Yeah,
crayon.
sounds-
Drove with some
Sounds
crayons
like a
up in
StarCraft
here.
unit.
Yeah,
See,
Rick sounds like a
me-
redneck. I gotta give him some crayons.
See, Ray says crayons. Everyone else says crayons. That's how you guys say it.
Yeah,
I
crayons.
have always, for the
Crayons.
entirety of my life, said crowns.
At least you don't.
Crown?
You said
Wait,
what?
crown?
Crowns.
How did you F it up that bad?
Coming from you, Mr.
Yeah, coming from Race.
Crayon.
Way.
It's a crayon.
I don't know, like you get some Crayola crowns.
You know, it's so funny.
Crayon.
Crowns.
A crayon.
Crayon.
Everyone says that word differently.
So there was this back when I played World of Warcraft, back when I was in like sophomore, junior in high school. There was a stupid little kid who also played in our guild. He was like 10 years old. He was a stupid little gnome mage, and he sounded like a little baby. And he had the perfect little nickname. It was Crayon. And I'm like, there is literally no better nickname for a little kid playing World of Warcraft than Crayon. Like, I remember him running one time. He was like, help me, help Crayon. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, even like 16-year-old me is like, God, this guy's a punk.
I'm just saying.
30-year-old me definitely thinks it.
So back to the episode. I guess first off, like I mentioned, this episode aired when I was about the time I was getting on a plane to leave Idaho. And not necessarily related to anything that happened in the episode, but my God, some people need to keep spoilers in their goddamn pants. Because let me just say, this episode and its spoiler was just ruined for me. Just ruined for me.
Well, I said I was sorry.
It wasn't you. But still, you did say you were sorry, and I don't know why. Nah, it's was it obvious? I see. I wouldn't know because I again was spoiled. But was it obvious to everyone else where it was going?
Pretty, yeah. At a certain
Yeah,
point.
yeah, it was pretty obvious.
Good.
What's everyone's opinions on the grannies in this episode?
I thought there was kind of like I know it's supposed to be Santa Claus, but I was like, y'all just lying.
Yeah. Why
Oh,
did
just
you
lie.
Why you always lying?
They're not lions. They're ponies.
Oh,
That's right.
I like the cat lady. She's funny. Golden
Yeah.
Delicious. is that
Totally
her name?
delicious, yeah.
yeah.
She's got this perfect little soft granny voice that sounds just the right amount of kooky. It's
Love
great.
her.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you come on down? See apple blue. Because like Granny Smith's more like well,
Granny Smith will
Delicious
fight
more like
you.
softer, like, so,
yeah. What is her
that
name?
now.
Granny Apple? What's her name? I forget.
apple
Golden
splits.
delicious.
Goldie delicious.
Goldie Delicious. She's like a proper grandma. Granny Smith is she's like Goldie Delicious is a nice grandma. Granny Smith is gonna fight you if they disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when she was like super senile in the first episode, where they're like, "This is Granny Smith." She's like, "I'm dying."
Right. Like she got her.
They had her chair from the first episode in this one.
What?
She's got Benjamin Buttons disease. She's actually the youngest Apple family kid.
Oh my god. Apple Bloom's my mother. Oh, that's wait, no, that doesn't work. Never mind. Retraction.
It's too late now.
It's in the World Wide Web.
So, any other thoughts on this episode?
I thought it was fun.
I thought it was forgettable.
Why do all of Applejack's episodes except for the perfect pairs suck?
What? Excuse you. The last roundup is outstanding.
Yeah, but she was barely in it.
It's still about her though.
The last roundup was my favorite Pinkie Pie episode.
I like the first Flim Flam Brothers episode a lot.
I wanna like Applejack episodes, but they're really not good a lot of the time. It's like, how stupid can we make this girl? I was like, please don't. She's like the level-headed one. She like picked up Twilight. She's like, Twilight, stop twilighting. And I was like, aw, because she's level-headed.
Put
or
her in her
whatever.
high chair. Yeah.
Right.
Was I?
But whenever it's family, she's a big old freaking idiot.
Was I wrong in that? I felt like this was the first time in 9 seasons that they like really acknowledged that they also have a carrot farm. Like I know you can see it. In
Yeah.
No, there's always been a carrot farm nearby.
It's
What are you
been
talking
there.
about?
They've
It's
never
been
said
there.
it out
But
loud.
they've never like.
But they've never like acknowledged it the way they did in this episode. I
Well,
felt
why would you need to acknowledge it? This is their first time acknowledging
Because
it.
they're purists.
because
and
they're
only go-
farmers. They do more than just apple farm. They also have carrots, and it's important. 'Cause Judy Hopps likes carrots. All right.
You know,
so,
I'm really upset at the rabbit population in Zootopia because they're careless. It's going to lead to a population crash. The world's dying, and it's all the rabbits' faults.
Just get a Thanos rabbit.
whoa.
You know what? Yeah, we need a Thanos rabbit. And with the snap of my hoof, I call that everything.
Rabbits have
The
hooves.
rabbit hoof.
Rabbits.
Oh, no.
You have rabbit hooves?
It's Jack Rabbit.
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 Even jackalope.
Rabbits have like
But even those
paws.
don't have hooves.
Rabbits have hands.
I remember when. So, can I tell you all a story?
Yes.
Oh.
So, I remember. You know jackalopes, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was like 8 years old and I went to this county fair.
Yeah.
And I remember like hearing some guy being like, "Behold, check out all these different weird animals from across the world." And there was like a jackalope, like a stuffed jackalope.
Yeah.
And I thought it was real and it terrified me. And I remember like, because there were golf courses nearby my house because I lived in a fancy neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I remember walking onto the golf courses because I was a punk ass kid. And I remember freaking out because I saw a rabbit, but I thought it was a jackalope. And I screamed and I ran home, like freaking out, thinking it was a jackalope. They scared me.
So for some reason, this reminds me of a similar situation in a small way.
Oh,
So
Similar.
Saber, you probably know this, but Gabe has some of the weirdest like awake cycles, and whenever I have a phone conversation with him, it's usually about 2 a.m. his time, and
it takes about 2 to 3 hours, and
Mhm.
you're like, okay, well, I gotta go to bed. And he's like, okay, well, let's talk about existence. And it's like, you know what? Let's do that.
Yeah, you can't just hang up. Yes. Well, so he this happened last week. We were talking, and all of a sudden he just pauses. He's like in the middle of a sentence, and he goes, "Yeah," and then I'm in the middle of a graveyard. And I'm like,
Wait.
"Yeah." He had no idea he'd been walking through a graveyard for 15 minutes.
That's right. No, what Gabe does, it's like he'll call me, hey, it's Gabe. Yeah,
Jack's in the chat said, "Wait, jackalopes aren't real?"
Unfortunately,
Jack's, I'm with
not.
you, brother.
That reminds me, like somebody in my high school thought narwhals weren't real. They were like unicorns.
Oh my god.
That happened to somebody recently who I was like, I think it was my mom. She's like, wait, narwhals are real? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
well,
because the
they're
whole
not-
thing is
not-
that people.
Not if the human race has anything to say about that.
That's the whole thing, that people would hunt them to take their horns and say, "Hey, look, a unicorn horn."
Yeah.
Oh
To
gosh.
be honest, unicorns something that make more sense than narwhals, but whatever,
Narwhals.
Narwhals.
Yeah.
Narballs. All right. Well, what's the next topic then?
Okay.
Well, our next
Um,
episode
yeah.
is student council, and boy, do I have a lot of opinions.
So I haven't watched that one yet, but I'm okay with y'all spoiling it because Pony kind of sucks anyway. So
Wow.
Okay.
Podcast.
So
I hope you get uninvited to the convention.
no,
Yeah.
I want my free ice cream.
I think you actually really like.
should.
I think you mean your free bag of Doritos.
Well, I'm gonna throw my I'm gonna find Race's popcorn. I'm gonna smack it across the room.
Not again. No.
I'm gonna go
Stop.
full on Godzilla.
Flashback.
All right,
Well,
in this
Mothra,
episode,
bitch.
in this episode, Starlight Glimmer relishes her role as school counselor and encourages the students to come to her anytime about anything, but always being available becomes too much for her.
Yeah, it's funny that this episode description, they're missing one part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
About who's
Educate
the
us.
worst character.
then.
She's kind of the worst in this episode. Yeah.
Like,
So one thing I really like about this episode, while we're all talking about how terrible everything is,
yeah, you start
Well,
off.
I enjoyed
what?
this
I mean, I
episode.
really liked it.
It's just
I have
Race is really
something
bad at
that,
it.
like, is really great that I really loved about this episode. So, for whatever reason, like, I did not like Maud's boyfriend previously because I thought he was like kind of annoying and like kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
But in this episode, it seemed like very clear that like he and Maud have worked on some things, and like she's kind of been like, "Hey, Mudbriar, maybe don't be an asshole when stuff's going on, and maybe just like understand where they're coming from." And that really showed in this episode. And I'm like, "Hey, look at that! Being with Maud is making him a better pony," and I like that.
Yeah.
Mods?
Yeah, and
mean,
Maud was incredibly thirsty for him.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
so
Oh my
thirsty.
God.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
horny.
Water, my girl.
What I miss?
You
Yeah,
were-
after like he gets stoned by the cockatrice, like yeah, like
She was, like,
Maud
all
was
about
like,
it.
"Oh my god, he's a rock, he's perfect."
Oh shit! So she got hard too.
Yes.
The entire episode.
It's so funny because she's an Addams. If the Addams family was ponies, she'd be like one of the Addams cousins.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Okay, so first off, Mod Pie,
I
I
loved
felt
both.
made this episode for me. I thought everything with her was hilarious in this. And overall, I felt like the episode itself had a good lesson. I felt like this was like an important kind of lesson to teach, because especially in a world that I feel like predominantly has made a shift, or at least like is maybe starting to come out of it, where people are like, oh, if you're somebody who works 16 hours a day, then you're better than the person who works 8, type of mentality that corporate America loves to push.
Yeah.
Like, no, F that, please.
Yeah.
That being said,
I thought it was a good message as well.
it was great.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't understand how anyone could ever be friends with Trixie.
With Trixie. I had to run away for 40 seconds, so we're talking about how Trixie is the worst part of this episode and like the worst friend ever.
She did have a really good line though. Like, is like, I have a lot of experience in making people think I have experience.
Yeah.
That was right.
That's so good.
What is a job interview?
I just every time outside of that one line that Paleo pointed out there, I just like I get.
And also when she just like shows up when Starlight goes to her office, she's just there.
It's there in the
and like
dark.
Starlight is like taken aback. She's like, "Ugh."
I mean, I was like, oh god.
She,
place I thought I could find you.
which by the way, she wasn't there, so Trixie was wrong anyway.
But why is here's the whole thing, because Starlight's kind of dumb in this episode, because why would you not like set up office hours?
I don't know.
Right? 24/7.
Well, I mean, that's what she considered at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should have times that I set up.
Where-
Like that
Yeah.
should be like the thing that teachers have.
Yeah. No, so to me, like, I get the frustration. I'm not saying that Trixie didn't have a reason to be frustrated about Starlight always being busy and on call. But there's also, I just feel like she mishandles every situation that she's ever presented. Ever.
She's like still eating
But
when
she's
the
kind of
guy's
an
saying
idiot.
that his sister's missing, and she's just like in the
She
background,
didn't
just
even
munching
care.
on her snacks, just like,
My
Wow.
sister's missing, and she's just like, well, screw off because Starlight's off the
It's my
clock.
friend time. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you so rude, girl?
I also very much enjoyed Maud and Mudbriar in this episode. I already liked Mudbriar, but I do like the fact that he seems to be kind of positively influenced by Maud.
Yep.
Yeah,
As
Mudbriar
soon as-
was good.
As soon as Paleo and I were watching this episode, we're like, Sarah loves this. We just know it.
Yeah.
We're like, so that was funny.
Swoon.
I don't know, man. Like, I understand Trixie's frustration as well, but it's like, your friend has a job, and it's a really important job. Like, we kind of leave her alone. I understand you gotta make friend time or whatever, but like, sometimes it's just you
Remember
gotta
when-
do work. Like,
Remember when Starlight sold Trixie's trailer and she freaked?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a funny episode.
That was funny. I was happy because they were fighting.
Mm,
It's the friendship that you like. I'm sure we've all probably been through this, especially as kids, where you have a friend who becomes friends with someone that you really don't like, and you're like, man, I want nothing more than that friendship to fail. And then
Yeah.
it starts to fail, and
Yeah.
you just sit back and go, yes.
Yeah. I've been through that.
Yeah, I think most of us have.
Scenario.
Yeah, like, and that's
it. I've been through that as an adult.
right. I mean, it happens, and yeah, I just feel that way. Like, I'm like, Starlight, you're so good. How?
And because like because I understood that Trixie was frustrated, but because like during the scenes where it was like my sister's literally missing and she was just like not caring, I was like, you're kind of an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, should I like you at all?
Yeah.
Yep.
God, it's so rude.
Well,
But the
just-
episode was fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's one of those things where a character definitely I have a gripe with, but the overall episode, the message, the story,
Mhm.
I was good with.
Also, Silverstream is just really cute. Every time she's on the screen, I'm like, oh.
Every
Oh,
time I
baby.
see a cockatrice, I just think back to, and Paleo kind of touched on it, but I'll never forget because Henry made a stoned joke back in the day at BronyCon 2013's Who's Line. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I
Pepperidge
remember.
Farm.
I was gonna say it, dang it.
So yeah. So any last thoughts on the episode before we move on? Good. All right, so we are no
Let's
longer.
talk about Godzilla King of Monsters.
Fuck.
That's not even on the list.
I know,
That's not
because I
on the
forgot to
list.
put it on there. And
Let's-
plus, we
Yeah,
also
you
haven't talked
forgot.
about Endgame in like
Wow.
4 weeks.
Dare you? All right.
Nobody's
talk about
Don't
Godzilla
worry,
next
I'll
time.
summarize it up for us. Better than Zootopia. Better than Wreck-It Ralph. Better than Dolphins. No,
in a ranking
Yeah,
system
so
of movies and
Monsters.
animals.
Because you haven't seen it yet. Here, I imagine you haven't seen it. I think the rest of us have.
Yeah, but like, Godzilla fights monsters. So that's the movie. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Spoilers, Laura. My gosh.
But you can tell me he's big and green.
How did you know he shows up?
I feel like maybe I'm not in the right company to talk about this movie. Actually, I might save it for the other podcast.
Okay, I mean, thanks
Oh.
for not
We're
good
not
enough. for
smart
Godzilla.
enough and
Yeah,
sophisticated
okay.
enough for Godzilla.
We're not dumb enough.
Yeah, I'm not dumb enough to appreciate how great he is.
Sarah's actually right
Uh,
now
I-
putting together a spoiler screen for you as we speak.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We can move on, actually. 'Cause,
Okay.
next,
I'll
more I
make
think
a
about
spoiler
it-
screen for next time.
Yeah, I'm down to talk about that movie though. So, we will.
Alright.
Sarah and I had fun watching it though, for sure.
Good,
Alright.
I'm glad.
We're finally gonna talk about Endgame.
Okay, so here's the spoiler
Whoa.
screen. If you haven't seen it and haven't been spoiled, what the hell is that? That is.
I've been waiting 4 weeks for this.
This is the freaking Geico lizard. Snap. Is this how he makes
Yeah.
your
Oh my god.
car insurance cost less?
This
Got rid
great.
of all states.
The Geico Gecko.
Did
The
this?
Infinity Gauntlet.
It
Interesting.
was an actual
He's-
commercial, and I love
Are you
it.
serious?
He's snapping car insurance in half.
How did none of us know about this?
I did. That's what
I will give my clients money. I call that mercy.
So,
Alright.
Avengers Endgame. We are officially discussing spoilers for Avengers Endgame. If you haven't seen it, now's your last chance to get out. But again, just mute the stream, and once the spoiler screen goes down, you are safe to come back in. So, who wasn't spoiled before going into the movie?
Me.
Is there anyone that made it?
Me? I had no idea what the
Yeah,
movie was
me.
about.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't,
saw
I don't
it
think I
much
was spoiled
later.
anything.
I caught a spoiler.
Yeah, and
I
a
saw it
big
2
one
weeks
too.
ago.
I caught the
Oh,
spoiler.
you got a spoiler?
the
Yeah,
spoiler.
the big one.
Oh.
I know what the big one would be.
Tim
I
says
yeah, I
X.
don't know what that would be.
I
Has
We're
to
spoiling,
do
so
with
what's the big
Tom.
spoiler?
that
Maybe
Iron Man retired from the Avengers.
Oh, well, of course.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of signs pointed to that happening, anyways. But
Yeah, like
that was
before,
just
right?
a given. Like said he was done doing the movies. So I mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's
right.
gonna happen.
Right before my dad and I went to go see it on that Thursday night, I told him, I bet you that either Iron Man or Captain America are gonna die or both,
Yeah.
and both sort of.
Yeah.
So
Captain America basically died. I mean, what did he go and
Yeah.
do?
Well, he went and had a good life and became
It's
an
a good
old
die
man.
though.
It's a good die.
Yeah.
So, well, there we go. I mean, we've already warned people. So on the spoiler level, Iron Man. When the scene. So I did see somebody say, and it was in reference to somebody else spoiling something else, which was weird. Then somebody followed it up with, "Oh well, the Avengers get fat and Iron Man dies." So about halfway through the movie, fat Thor shows up, and I go, "Oh no!"
oh no!
And-
oh no!
And I actually got, during the big fight scene at the end, I legitimately got emotional
Yeah.
because I was kind of like, it's gonna happen. And this is weird because in most cases, like I was also spoiled back in the Star Wars, one of those Star Wars movies when
Han?
Han had something bad happen to him in that movie.
No,
I
you
was
can
spoiled,
find
and I got
out that Darth Vader is Luke's dad. Yeah, yeah.
I got pissed off when I found out that spoiler after. Now this one was weird because when I found out about the spoiler, it actually like made me accept real time that Iron Man was actually dying, because I would have otherwise assumed, nah, he'll be fine. Even right now, like everything's shutting down, but he'll be fine. Like I just, it made me accept it. Like I would have sat there till the credits finished rolling and still been like, but did he really die?
Mhm.
And instead I was like, oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
And I did cry.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
should have
foreshadowing
manly
that.
tear.
They have been foreshadowing this man's death so dang hard for like the longest while.
Since the first
Yeah.
movie,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
when they're like, if you don't have the sing in your chest, you'll eventually die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Damn.
It's been coming for 10 years.
I was talking more about like how he's like constantly stressed, and he's like, we need to be
Yeah,
prepared.
and
for
he's had like
everything all-
visions of all the Avengers dying.
Right. It's like, oh, you're gonna die. I've consumed enough media.
I honest to God thought there would be some kind of situation where he'd have to decide on changing the past and saving everybody, but at the cost of his daughter never existing. But then they explain the
Whoa.
multiple timeline stuff, and I'm like, okay.
Explain.
Yeah, right. The timeline shit is all just, it's fictional nonsense. So you just pick and choose what rules you want to roll with, and it's pretty fun. Someone made a point where it's where they say like, yeah, the Thor looks like the Big Lebowski, which is like funny because someone pointed out that Jeff Bridges played what was it, Obadiah, and like the Iron Man 1. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the actor who played the Big Lebowski was an enemy of Iron Man technically. Go figure.
We knew it. What did you guys think of, I'll just phrase it this way, but the other deaths in this movie?
Aren't we spoiling?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
can't you just say it?
We have a spoiler screen.
I'm saying it not to be, I'm saying it purposely to be vague because I can't remember how many other people died. Like I know that
Yeah.
Black
Widow.
Leather lady died. Now what did
Yeah,
you guys
that whole
think of
scene
That
with
was-
I
I
didn't
didn't
do
like
much
that
for me at all.
sequence. I thought that was weird.
What?
Yeah.
Just the way she's like, I want to kill myself, and he's like, no, I want to kill myself, and then they're like fighting over suicide, and it just felt weird to me. I'm like, this is really drawn out way to like zap the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they're like super duper close. And they don't want the other
yeah,
person
they're like best
Yeah.
friends.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't care. It still felt weird. It's just, I don't know. It
Didn't
just,
feel
it just
weird to
really took
me.
out of the
You're
movie where I'm
weird.
like, it's like, no, I'm gonna kill myself first, and it's like, oh,
I
Okay.
do agree with Saber. I felt it was a little drawn out. I was like, okay. And like,
Well,
yeah, even to the degree where it's like, I know they're best friends, but I kind of just don't care. It's too drawn out. Like,
Yeah.
the movie, it felt like, so this has been said there and back again, the Hobbit's tale apparently. But like honestly, like it felt like three separate movies where it's like, like the beginning is them coming to terms with a post Thanos war, which I like that. That was kind of
Mhm.
neat.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they didn't kick things up except for like Captain Deus Ex Machina and like them killing Thanos early on. Like it was just them going, well, let's just get on with our lives. What else can we do? And also like it was that moment where the guy saw some whales in the bay, and it's like, don't you even fucking tell me that there's a bright side to this. Like Thanos was right. But and then there's the second part, which is like the time heist, and then the third part being like the final battle. And I mean,
In the film industry, we call those acts.
ooh, but the like, because I don't know, it dragged on a bit in the middle, a bit to me. But the end though, where like the ultimate battle, with
Mhm.
like that's the payoff. Like we all knew it was coming, and it was glorious, and it was hamped up, and it was over the top. But I didn't care. I'm like, this moment is the culmination of all these Marvel movies after years and years coming together. This is the payoff, and I got chills.
I think that's why I got emotional during it, not just because of my anticipation of what was coming, but also again, it's like you said, there was that payoff side of it, and two, like I also think back to like again some of these characters. Like I'm like, my God, when I first saw the first Iron Man when I was still in high school.
What a wee lad.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it with friends, and it just, it made me kind of like feel so nostalgic once all that was kind of coming through. So yeah,
I would like. Oh, you go ahead.
no, that was about my point there.
Oh, I would like to take a moment and disagree, actually, because I thought the things in the middle were more interesting than the battle at the end. The reasoning behind that is I felt like them bringing in other universe Thanos, like, almost entirely diminished the, like, magnitude of the fight, because it's like, this is not the guy that we've been dealing with since basically the first Avengers movie. This is some different guy who is basically the same kind of guy that isn't him. Like, he didn't do these things. He hasn't reached that point yet. So, like, from like a fulfillment perspective, I feel like it was almost kind of a letdown in terms of, like, the person we're building up to the whole, rest of this movie up to the end, and it's like we're gonna have this big fight with this guy is just someone who basically just showed up at this movie.
Yeah, I can see that, and I agree that, like, because the Thanos from Infinity War is dead, and he was much more interesting.
Yeah, and I thought the Infinity War battle was way more fulfilling than this one.
Well, because it was a losing battle. You actually weren't sure how it was going to play out. This one, it's like, okay, well, there's some certainties, most likely. Like, I thought it was neat seeing, like, this massive clash of characters. Again, it feels like you're just ultra geeking out. And this, I think it can only really work out once. Like, from this point on, it's going to be hard to pull off something of this size and magnitude. But also, this movie wasn't really about Thanos, which is kind of weird, because I think we all went into thinking Thanos movie. And it's like, no. We're talking about Iron Man and Captain America mostly. And it was cool seeing, like, Captain America get, like, you see how he has character arcs, and, like, Hail Hydra. Like, oh, he's not gonna. He even rolls his eyes at his past self, which is like the equivalent of watching an old YouTube video.
That was great. That was excellent.
And then Iron Man getting that like talking to his father. Like, these are fulfilling things. These are good moments.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
And I think just.
But that's what I meant when I'm saying, like, the things in the middle I thought were more interesting.
Ah!
About.
Yeah, Paleo disconnected. He's back.
Okay.
But I honestly, God, wish that this was.
I was like, what the hell?
Paleo wasn't happy with what Laura said. I think this could have been a 3-partner movie.
I don't think so.
I think
3 is way too many.
Well, I think 3 hours is way too long. I think they could have fleshed it out a bit more. I was disappointed we didn't really get to see Hulk go on, like, all out. But
I was really expecting it, right? Yeah, especially since they, like, kind of didn't in the Infinity War one. I was like, oh, so they're saving it for.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, they didn't.
It was a different direction, which I can appreciate them subverting expectations that way with Professor Hulk, but at the end of the day, it was a good movie. Infinity War is better. That had a better, like, more concise story. And I always appreciate seeing the heroes lose, and that because it keeps things a bit more, like, unpredictable. But yeah, but the most important thing of all about these movies is just the sources for Thanos memes. We need more. I love Thanos memes; they're the best.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
So there was one other thing that kind of just stayed on my mind that bothered me, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's something that the movie did wrong. It just makes me go like, well, shit. Is Gamora, and how they're like, all right, yay, Gamora's back, but it's
the different
Gamora
that
that
she disappeared
it's
again.
not the Gamora we knew, and I'm just like, I wonder how they'll deal with this in the future, because I don't know, like, to me, like, I don't know. It feels weird because it's not like I just feel like you can't just replace someone. Like, it's like someone else. I don't know. I'm just like, oh, they went through all that stuff, and now it's like,
Well, because Gamora might still be out there. Same with Black Widow, but, like, I don't know. The question is, how long are we going to keep this up? because like, can we do another 10 years of Marvel Cinematic and like, can we ever come back to this point of being so like off the charts massive? 'Cause I don't think it can be done again.
So I was gone. Was anybody saying like anything good about the movie? Because I
Yeah.
felt like I just came into like everybody saying bad things.
Well,
No,
they
it was
weren't.
a
They
good
weren't.
movie. It
They
was
weren't
funny.
bad things. It was. I'm just saying, like I'm like, damn, because of what happened. But yeah, you missed positives.
Oh, because I love this movie.
It got a bit again confusing with all. There's so much going on, which I mean that's the territory you go into with a movie of this size. But like there was also like I thought it was really like it was endearing when Thor held his hand out and his hammer came to him and he's like, I'm still worthy. And it's like
Yeah.
that's sweet. And then seeing Captain America wield it, that was really freaking cool.
Yeah.
No, you use the small one, I get the big one.
I actually have a question, and this is just me being a more casual Marvel fan, but everybody like freaked out about that. As far as like, I knew it. There was an indication of that before, but where did it happen?
Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the indication, but he never
Like,
like picked it up.
They were
Like,
all having turns, like trying to lift it, and Cap actually
that was a
like
key
it
thing.
budged, and Thor was
I
like,
found that to be weird. I was like, okay, so Thor's the only one that can pick it up, but then Captain America can pick it up.
Though
Why?
as Jax would tell you, but in the comics, like Cap actually uses it at one
But
point.
it's not the comics.
Yeah.
It's a different.
But the MCU is based on the comics.
"Ye be worthy, shall yield this."
It's literally a
young
comic
man."
book movie,
It's
so
based on a comic, but like, I feel like you can't like cherry pick. Be like, that didn't happen in the comics.
I'll do
but this
you one
happened in the
better.
comics. Like,
I'll do you one better. There's a cartoon episode where Thanos tries to pick up the hammer, and Thor's like, "You're not worthy enough," and he's like, and Thanos is like, "Fine, then I'll hit you with the hammer." And he picked Thor up
Yeah.
and started smacking him against the hammer.
yeah, Jax said, "Hero, don't make me get you ass."
I just want to point out, by the way, that
we can discuss it.
the spoiler screen that Sarah made, or at least like clipped for this, I've been staring at it the entire time.
I definitely enjoyed this movie. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed this movie at like maximum casual level. By the way, I wasn't like, oh, that, like maximum casual level. So everything that was supposed to be like the crowd pleaser, fan servicey whatnot, I like gobbled that junk up. When Thor's entrances are so good. When he grabbed both of his weapons, I was like, oh, my boy. He's not even my boy, but my boy.
Yeah. No,
So
I mean,
the Cap scene. Oh my god, where he's like, I could do this all day. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, that just
Yeah, I
showed
know.
me.
That is
was one of
America's
the
ass.
funniest scenes.
Captain America, like I love his he's a man of quality where he's like, I will die like to my last breath I will stand and fight, which is very him. And he's the first Avenger, but
Yeah, like that whole shot of like him against Thanos' army. It's
dude,
great.
some of those shots were like gorgeous. They look like portraits.
so
Not
yeah.
portraits. I'm sorry, portraits. Like landscape draw. What's what I'm looking for? I can't think of it. Like something you'd see like a battle sketch from like Gettysburg or something or whatever.
Paley, I don't know if you heard the part. I don't know if you had fallen out at this point, but I did mention that I did. Who else cried in this movie? Because I did.
I got emotional during the charge because like I'm a sucker for good versus evil, and just seeing all the forces of good come out to kick Thanos' ass. I was like, sweet, like go good, and that got me emotional.
I didn't like cry the first time, but I did the second time I saw it, and it hit me during the funeral of Tony Stark. I was like, oh no.
That was okay. One complained. I thought it was really awkward how everybody was just standing around like it was like an album cover picture.
Going
It's
to
the
film
world
wedding.
I know. It's the world I know.
Although apparently, like they had told the crew that they were gonna film a wedding scene.
Yeah.
and I'm 100% sure like all the women like that got dressed up and they all like showed up there and everyone's wearing black and they're like, uh-oh.
It must be
Uh-oh.
It must be Black Widow's wedding. Good for her.
Yeah, but even before like that scene where Tony's in the hologram and he says like I love you 3000 as like his last thing. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually,
3000.
you know what I I thought they were gonna do, because again, I did hit a spoiler, being Iron Man dies, and I thought, I know, sorry, but I thought what they were gonna do, and I was kind of actually hoping for it, is because he was so close to death at the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, it has nothing to do with the end. I thought like he was gonna have to be revived or something, and then I'd be like, oh, cool, okay, so now I don't know. And they should have done that just so I wouldn't have been spoiled. But I have. Go on.
Sorry, I just feel so bad. I forget her name. I don't know, but Iron Man's wife. I feel so bad
Pepper.
for her.
Pepper
Is it
Potts.
Pepper? Ooh, I had literally no clue. Okay, but
That woman's been through hell and back.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for her because she's like, she has to say goodbye to her husband, and literally, how do you even find a soul that even begins to compare to freaking Tony Stark?
Yeah.
There's no guy on the planet that even comes close.
Yeah.
He's a freaking genius. He's a billionaire. He's got personality. Like, you can't. No guy is that good. So like, I guess she's just gonna be a widow forever.
She'll build her own husband.
I was gonna say that. I was waiting.
I'm glad that they
Jax
finally
is
got her
getting
in
ready
on
to-
the fight. Like,
That was cool. Yeah.
yeah.
What is
Just
Jax
another
about to roast me
timeline.
with?
Do what Kingpin did in Spider-Verse and steal another Iron Man away.
So there was one other moment that I'm curious about, because I know Sarah has opinions about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm going for?
I think so, yeah.
So in the big fight scene,
Yeah.
they were like, you know what we should have? A scene where all of the women get together and kick his butt for a little bit. And Sarah?
Like, I understand they're like, hey, look at us, hey, cool, and I'm just like, I don't know, I was kind of more on the cynical sort of side of it, where I'm just kind of like,
I was
okay,
too.
yeah, it's just like,
I'm glad you were as well.
yeah, there's a point in which it's just like, you're just doing this for brownie points or something.
Ham-fisted.
Well, like there's an organic and like
Yeah.
real way to do that, and
Yeah.
that's not what they did.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like,
It's
all right,
like-
everyone line up.
I think it
They
was,
did
it
something
was,
similar in Infinity War, though it
But it
was
was
much more
better.
toned down.
yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the one in Infinity War because it wasn't like
Yeah.
they were all fighting together, but they weren't like, oh, they've got my back, and it's like all the women like right behind her. And, like,
Yeah, that was a
Captain
bit
America.
fan
On the nose.
service-y and
Spider-Man and his 13 moms.
right. Okay, it's good. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like, don't worry, girls, just pretend Thanos is the patriarchy or something. That's what here we go. It just felt like it was a bit over the top. Though I do like, there's a scene that made me laugh out loud in the theater, two actually during the battle scene, where because in Infinity War there was that one big muscle guy who was like causing trouble with the Hulk and Iron Man and Spider-Man. In this timeline, like Ant-Man is in his giant form, just charging the battle and just stomps on the guy passing by, not even acknowledging
Yeah.
that he kills them. And I'm like, that's hilarious. This guy was a big pain in the ass last time, just gets stomped on unknowingly. And then that van with like that was like
Oh yeah, the band from Ant-Man.
No, that van is from Ed, Edd and Eddie, and you know it. Double D, we're on the battlefield.
Oh, what the
Thanos
toast?
is Kevin.
Dorks.
You dare mark the son of a shepherd?
The son of a shepherd.
Woo! All right. Well, we've been talking about this for
Yeah.
a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's,
So if everyone feels like they've said their piece,
Again, game. It was a good conclusion to the MCU, even though it's going to keep going on. But yeah, it's a good
Asgard
conclusion
is
to that storyline.
I enjoyed it.
That name just sells. Just perfect.
I at least I'm okay with this movie doing as well as it's doing.
Yeah.
I've had other
It's
movies.
going to pass Avatar, though.
I know.
It's like so close.
It's ridiculous. You watch, they will tie to the penny. That'd be funny.
The penny.
So as
Penny
we
balanced.
as we move on from Avengers Endgame, I actually want to point out something to everybody because it's something that each and everyone can do while watching. We have posted, and I'm going to mention this again for those that are maybe still kind of funneling in, anyone that was avoiding spoilers, but we have posted 2 links on the Semi Perfect Podcast Twitter earlier in the week. Both of which are for submissions for Whose Line. We have the Whose Line game of Whose Line, where we pull out a card and then have to read it. And then we have scenes from a hat. And Sarah, we need submissions.
Yeah, we do. I checked earlier today, and there's very low numbers. We need some help, guys.
I
So-
think I accidentally put a scene from a hat in the Who's Line thing, so
That's
Don't
okay.
worry,
I
we'll do that.
can sort those out.
How could you?
my bad.
I'll just let me retweet that stuff.
Yeah, I just retweeted it on the Semi Perfect Podcast
Yep. And again, it's
Twitter account.
something that people can do while watching the show if
Yeah.
something pops in your mind. But yeah, it.
And
Yeah, that's,
even if you're not attending the con itself, it will be put up on YouTube.
you can see the damage be done.
Yes.
So wanted to mention that now. Okay, so we just got done talking about one movie, but in the trailer verse, and I'll lead into this slowly. So if there's anyone that doesn't want to discuss it or talk about it or avoid it, again they can. But there were 2 movie trailers in particular, Sarah, that you called out. So I don't know if anyone in the chat wants to avoid as far as in the podcast wants to avoid talking about them, but it is the Onward trailer and Frozen 2.
Kids have fun.
We'll dip out for Frozen 2.
Okay, so
don't wanna see
we'll stay on Onward for now, and then we'll let you know when we move on. Obviously.
You can still play, Steven. I'm just gonna...
Okay, well, go for it.
All right. So, Onward.
So Onward is that kind of modern fantasy film that Pixar kind of hinted at D23 last year, I think it was. And
I'm not taking credit for this comparison, but I've seen somebody say it's Disney's Shrek.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Excuse me, it's Disney's Ronald the Barbarian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really funny comparison that Paleo drew when we were like watching.
When we
it.
first watched the trailer.
Oh,
I was like, "Oh my god, it's Ronald and Alibert," and I was like, "Holy shit, it is!" Like,
And then
Like,
they said
I
that
mean-
line, and we lost it.
yeah, it's all in the name of coincidence, but we're just like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
that is funny. The fact that you just got done with it is where it really lands.
This is
coincidence.
legit how life serves Saber. This is how life serves Saber. Like it's just he does something and then something very close to it that's relevant comes up. This has happened like 4 times.
It's not
no joke.
fair. His entire success is based off of luck.
Yeah, like that copyright strike I got from the movie. I was so lucky.
It's like somehow they get sued and you get $1 million and you're like, oh, good.
Yeah, Pixar sues them, and I'm like,
The Hedgehog movie, the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer comes out.
So
yeah, I get lucky.
you do get lucky, but you also do some decent work. That being said, onward
Yeah.
with the topic.
Oh, I appreciated that.
Thank you.
To be honest,
That's
I'm not that hooked yet. I'm not that impressed by this movie yet. Like the visuals, of course, are great, but like I felt like a lot of the jokes were a lot of like those bottom of the barrel, like easy pickings sort of jokes for the fantasy setting. Like, oh, the trolls are manning the toll bridge things, and garden gnomes are gardeners.
That's racist.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, all right.
Don't hate me for this, but there were certain things about the trailer that I'm like, I feel like this is Pixar's turn at going, we can make like a Zootopia type movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like that? Like where they're like
a little bit, where it's like, oh, you got furry world over there. Now we got fantasy world over here with blue people.
It's the new Disneyland they're making. Furry world and fantasy world. That being said, what's the name when you have like a half goat, half human?
Pan. Like I think that is.
What? I thought
Pan.
what? Pan.
But go half goat, half person.
I thought that meant something else. Pan. You're right. Isn't
it
that
a satyr? Maybe.
Satyr is also okay. Pan was the god. That's who was a satyr. Sorry, he was a satyr.
He's a Pan.
But his name was Pan.
They had one of those in the trailer.
I'm actually surprised I got that right. That was like the furthest reach back in my mind possible.
I think they can
I
also
was
be
like,
called
satyr?
fawns.
There was one in there, and I was like, "Oh, she's cute." So, yeah. I mean, any other takeaways from the trailer that you guys have seen?
Yeah, I mean, usually with certain Pixar trailers to their original stuff, I'm usually not too into it. Like, I wasn't too into the trailers for Inside Out or Coco, but I ended up loving both of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'd have to wait until an extended trailer comes out, and then when it comes out, because I actually hated the first couple trailers for Inside Out.
Really?
Because they use like the sweet emotion and more than a feeling. I was like, that is so on the nose.
Yeah.
Pixar can sometimes be very terrible with their trailers.
It's like I'm waiting. There's like the normie trailers, and then there's like the artistic trailer, and it's like, not to sound pretentious, but it's like I need the one that looks like it's got standards.
But Pixar always does the normie trailer, which is weird because like Disney's doing the artistic trailer with Frozen.
Yeah,
2.
Frozen 2 trailer looks very artistic and pretty and emotional, and it's like the Pixar one's like, I get knocked down, you're not getting knocked again. Like,
you took that from the React. You son of a gun. You calling me normie?
Yeah, you're normie. You normie.
Race, you are very normie.
It's like, I don't know. It's like they can be a really emotional, like way to pull you into it with like political intrigue and detective work, and then it's like, doop-de-doop, animals pooping on the ground or something. Rabbit ducks to fucks.
What?
Well, should we?
That wasn't a Pixar movie.
Segue into Frozen 2. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about Onward?
I have so much nothing to say about Onward. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that exists. I don't particularly care.
I kind of
Yeah.
forgot so much from
the trailer.
trailer.
I don't even know what the trailer was about. I forget.
It was just kind of a day in the life of the world, it felt like.
Yeah, just snippets of those jokes that.
Who are the main actors, by the way? It's
Chris
Pratt,
Pratt and Tom
Holland.
Holland.
Yeah. So basically,
Spider-Man and Star-Lord.
Avengers 300.
It's totally a quest.
Nice. All right. Frozen 2. So
Gorgeous.
again,
Looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing with these trailers.
Yeah.
I want this movie to do well, but
Yeah.
it's not because I like Frozen, so to speak.
It's because he likes Zootopia.
It's because I want this to do well, so Disney goes, we can do sequels, and then everyone goes, Disney can do sequels, and then Zootopia comes in and does the sequel, and they're like, bam.
Of course, this movie's gonna do well. It's gonna do great, and it's gonna be really catchy, beautiful songs. Well, my only downside is that I feel like this movie probably has a big think tank behind it, where they're like, we have to make it like perfect for like kids and catchy and shit. But at the same time, I'm getting vibes that this is gonna, like, the current trailer gives us the vibe that this is gonna be like an emotional story, like with like Anna like protecting Elsa this time and like shielding her from the world or from herself, and I also like the idea where they're opening up the setting where it's like we're going to a new
realm where there could be like creatures but like I mean above all else though the visuals, like the colors and the particle effects and just it just looks so pretty with what they're doing with the magic. I adore it. That alone has got me sold on the movie.
There was a sea pony.
Oh
Yeah, that was really cool effect.
She
I
called it one.
appreciate that they're embracing, and then they did this the last time, but like this is taking place in Norway and their culture and their mythology behind their creatures and their what their stories is very unique, and it's cool to see Frozen tackle that.
So I get the impression that as much as probably 90% of us have gotten sick of Frozen between its release, because I know when it came out and I had seen it, I was like, that was solid. Between then and let's say just before trailers started coming out for Frozen 2, Disney has milked the crap out of Frozen. But from so far what I've gathered from both trailers, I almost feel like Disney's also been kind of paying attention to the stuff they've been milking, where it almost feels like they were like, okay, so do the fans want more Olaf? Let's send out an Olaf. Oh shit! They did not want more Olaf. Cut back the Olaf.
Oh yeah, like before Coco, a Pixar movie. So it's like
they had to.
The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I honestly feel like they've actually been taking notes with a lot of the stuff that we've been getting sick of, and may actually be like, all right, now we've got the formula and the right amount of this and the right amount of that. Just from the trailers, I'm getting that impression. Granted, the movie can be entirely different, but I think I've seen Olaf once show up. And it reminds me, I was just going to say it reminds me of Cars 2 to Cars 3 a little bit, where...
Oh, yeah.
Mater, yeah. In the third trailer, I don't think we saw him once.
I think Mater, like, Skypes, like, Lightning McQueen once.
Yeah.
I think literally just personal. It has nothing to do with what other people think. But like, if this movie had way less Olaf, my enjoyment of it would probably skyrocket. I really don't like Olaf.
I think Olaf's fine. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't get the Frozen hate. Well, I do actually, but like, it's because it's. There are some things that get so popular that people just hate it because of that, and I get it. Frozen's not a perfect movie, and it is a little bit more kiddie-ish, but like, it's just a shame that like, 'cause I think Olaf is the perfect amount of sidekick and cuteness and comic relief.
Yeah, because leading up to the movie, I thought he was going to be like
unbearably stupid.
Hi, Gabe. Black Griffin, everybody.
Or a skull.
Hi.
Or bones.
I love Olaf.
I do too. I like him. Was it a good idea to make a short about him? Maybe not, but I still.
Yeah,
like
maybe
him.
not. Maybe not a good idea to put that before Coco.
Yeah.
A 20-minute short.
But
that's not a short.
That's a long.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Long short.
So the thing that I will say, a small counter, but maybe a little bit more like inside look to it all, because I agree with what Saber's saying, is that there are a number of people that just dislike Frozen because it was the popular thing, and they went, For me, my disdain for Frozen actually just comes from the fact that, like, and this was before Zootopia was a thing, is that I was being driven nuts. I'm like, there's so many things that Disney can do stuff with. And but when it's always Frozen, that started to drive me nuts. It wasn't just because, Frozen's a popular thing. It was also like, God, there's so many other things out there. It of course ramped up even more when I was like, oh yeah, Zootopia. And they're like, yeah, by the way, Frozen's getting a show in California Adventures. I'm like, okay. So,
I mean, I would rather have Frozen to be the highest grossing animated movie of all time than Minions, which is number 2.
Now Minions, that absolutely is the like think tank.
Wait, no, Incredibles 2 is number 2 now.
Yeah, Incredibles 2 is incredibly boring. Lol. But But
Still better than Minions.
yeah, Minions is just mindless stupidity. Like it's not. Again, I've been desensitized over these last few years. I'm like, oh, my eyes aren't bleeding. It must be a good movie, and that's just where that's where I'm at. In my
You've
life.
done it to yourself, Saber.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this character's not like 3 pixels, and it's like, wow, this is art. But like Minions, it's just, I get the vibe that's like, no, this is just a bunch of corporate people hiring. Okay, you know what cracks me up? Because Paleo, you confirmed this with me. So I'm not sure if I told you all this. I think I might have told you Race in private, but I got the guy who's the writer for The Secret Life of Pets 2 angry at me on Twitter like a month or 2 ago. Did I ever share this story with you all?
No.
Okay, so it was back when Endgame was coming out, and there was that viral campaign of "Don't spoil Endgame." It was a hashtag, and then the guy who's the writer for Secret Life of Pets 2 did the same thing for Secret Life, where he's like, "Don't spoil Secret Life of Pets 2." And I replied to his tweet going, "Oh, don't worry, the trailers already did that," and because they have a habit of just putting everything in there because they don't care. And he replied to me where he's like, "LOL, no!" Like in all caps, like trying to mock me and shoot me down. And but then he deleted that tweet. Then he replied with a lowercase like, "LOL, you're wrong," or something. by screen capped his stuff before he deleted it. And I was like, "Hey, you dropped this," and he's like, "Yeah, shut up," or whatever. But it's just funny seeing. It just doesn't surprise me. I'm like, well, okay, that really explains the caliber of this movie's writing, because you got a 7-year-old who screams and deletes tweets like writing for you. So I don't know. It was just like the Queen's Corgi that I watched recently was a much better movie than The Secret Life of Pets, and that's the same.
Yeah, I saw The Secret Life of Pets 2 this past weekend, and yeah, you can put together either a third or maybe even half of the movie with all the stuff they put out before the movie.
Just ridiculous, man. That's they don't care. They're like they that's illumination for you. Where and Race, you tell me that it's not doing so well this time, right?
No, it had an opening weekend of $46 million. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the first one opened above 102 million.
I'm speaking of which, by the way, of weak openings, apparently Dark Phoenix is doing so poorly that it's actually driving traffic into Godzilla. And I'm like,
nice,
good. People are like, "Oh, this fucking movie sucks. Let's go see Godzilla." I'm like, yes, thank you.
So Slop 2 not doing great.
It is really sad that's the
Secret Life of Pets Slop 2. You're right.
By the way, hi Matt. Also,
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Remember when there was only 5 of us in this podcast an hour ago? So I'm gonna kind of.
This is what happens when I forget that it's Wednesday.
I'm gonna. It's okay.
When?
Gabe, someday I believe that you're gonna have
Good internet.
half decent internet. Like someday, I just see it.
It's my own fault.
See, like I heard all that.
Oh.
Heard it crystal clear.
Yeah, well, anytime I have something not important.
See, I don't know if he's messing with us.
Clearly, that was not important.
Aha! Yeah, I'm not messing with you. Quite here.
We would be hard pressed to tell if you were.
That's.
So
Gabe doesn't make much money on YouTube. We can't afford good internet.
How do you upload videos? Like I don't know.
He struggles.
1 bit at a time.
Are you connected to the internet, Gabe?
Gabe goes to the public library with his microphone and he records this.
I don't care.
I don't. Whatever you're saying, I don't believe you.
Oh my god.
Well, since we do have Gabe and a couple of us.
Matt. His name's Matt.
Wait. Check.
Yeah.
I'm getting it back from Gabe.
Should I mute him for a second?
No, because I'm gonna include him in this conversation because I feel like now is a good time if we're all in agreement. Is that a word? Too bad. To talk about what's happening this weekend MLP MSP F. F is for final. It is the last MLP MSP that is going to be taking place. This will be the 4th time this convention has happened. The first 3 were 2014, 15, and 16. The convention around sometime in 2000, I think late 2016 or maybe early 2017 was when we got word that MLP MSP wasn't going to return. It never really had a send-off convention, as others haven't. But I feel like it's very fitting that a convention that had the success and the, I guess you could say, the reputation of MLP MSP, it's really cool to me that we are going to be able to send it off with one more in Minneapolis. So that's this weekend. You excited, Gabe?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
This is working. Keep this up.
I'm very excited.
He is very excited.
I love
100-yard dash.
You know what? I've just realized something. Gabe is max power.
Huh?
Yes.
For those of you that remember the 80s.
I don't. I was born in the 90s.
Oh.
Baby,
case, what I
how
said
dare you treat
nothing.
me just like...
So, Gabe, while your internet's actually working right here, anything you're looking forward to this weekend?
Oh, I'm looking forward out with friends to free.
Now he's just messing with us.
Me too.
No,
dude.
I'm actually. I haven't even. I forgot it was this weekend. I've been. But that'll be
We
fun.
reminded you.
It'll be fun, and maybe I'll get some chance to relax. Oh, I'm looking forward to eating out with friends.
I'm
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to eating out with
Good.
friends.
Yeah. To talking to you guys and you hearing and
Understanding.
I wish it cut out where it cut out the word with and it just said eating out friends. Almost so close to getting that.
I'm looking forward to talking, having you under. Yep.
Awesome.
You can't hear me.
We can now.
We hear it whenever you acknowledge that we can't hear you.
Yeah, every time you try
Of
and prove that it
course.
won't work, it works perfectly.
Of course.
Because why wouldn't it?
Good, you didn't hear that one.
Nope.
Whatever that was.
I don't know. Saber, Paleo, you guys are going to be at MLP MSP.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're getting there tomorrow night.
Yep, we'll be there tomorrow.
What are you guys looking forward to?
Eating.
Who's line? Hanging out with the Minnesota bronies and seeing old friends and new friends and even a bear. So should be a lot of fun.
Does anyone know, is this convention near the Mall of America or no?
It's like a 20-minute or 15-minute like Uber ride to it, so
So not that close.
yeah, not that close to the mall, but we'll definitely go there.
You think so? I'm bringing a swimsuit just in case.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gonna wear that on the plane, are you?
yeah, just in case.
Well,
But
the
yeah,
hotel does have a pool.
Wait, why would you need a swimsuit?
He wants to swim at the.
so I can swim.
The hotel does have a pool that's
Is that
as
it?
big
Like,
as an
is
ocean.
it I'm missing, or
No, just it's hot.
Alright.
I watched your video race that you did
Oh, the
about
Ocean.
Minnesota
did you like it?
and how Minnesota definitely has an ocean.
It does. I it's kind of a story behind that one, which I'm sure I'll probably bring up at some point during the actual convention. But
Yeah.
I got stuck up in the beach for a day, and I was like,
In the beach.
in the beach.
You got beat.
So obviously the only bummer going into this weekend is they did announce M.A. Larson's going to be there, so apologies in advance, everybody.
Oh man,
That's why they everyone got their ticket.
That's why they waited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ticket.
Take it.
Yes.
Funny joke, Gabe.
I like to think that every time he's cut off, that his body just freezes into whatever position he is.
It's true.
It's true.
So to run down, by the way, the schedule of events. Again, I really enjoy this group that does run MLP MSP. They're also a lot of them. I don't know how many, but probably a very high percentage of them are also the same group that run Winnie City and Ponyville Cider Fest. And one of the nice things is that when they put the schedules together, you can click on any of the guests and see their schedule. So for me, it makes it really easy to say, "Hey,
it's so nice."
Yeah.
yeah."
Please.
So
Wait, is there an app for that?
Yeah,
Mhm.
though on the site there are certain panels that any of us are on that were not listed under our guest thing.
that should be fixed by now.
Wait, so what's the
Okay.
wait? So is it?
Because I'm not sure, like, because I'm pretty sure I'm on certain ones.
I think you've
It
been.
sounds very much like an ad for the website, by the way, you guys. Like the way you're all talking about it, where it's like, oh, there's this cool website. Is there an app for that? Yeah, you just go to.
All
I'm
right,
glad
Charlie.
you
Yes.
But yeah, Paleo, because I know that initially some of the stuff wasn't, but I think that's all been added. So if you check the site, I think you're good to go. But as far as the schedule goes, so opening ceremonies is going to be taking place on Friday at 11 a.m. We are scheduled to be there. We, as in Paleo Saber, Gabe, and I, will be there. Brony's Rack panel will take place right after opening ceremonies in Gwyn Room. I believe that's the secondary room from 12 to 1 hour in the secondary room.
Gwen
Stacy, yep.
See?
No.
I'm imagining that Gabe's also saying whatever he's saying like 3 minutes before we hear it, and then he's really let down when nobody responds.
You have a dark.
M.A. Larson's comment.
So, sorry, I was clicking on it. So, Brody's Wrecked, again, Saber, Paleo, Gabe, myself, and Silver Quill will be on that one. And then also on Friday will be the How to YouTube panel. That'll take place 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. in Gwyn Room. The community guest meet and greet. This starts Saturday off, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Snowdrift Room. And then right after that at 11:30 to 12:30 in the main events, it is Hooves Line, Is It Anyway? And then we move on to, I think no, actually, yeah, they're all pretty close. But Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in main events, Jackbox Games with Saberspark, Paleo, and ACRacebest. So that'll be fun. First time we're doing that at a convention.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to that. Then a community guest meet up on Sunday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Snowdrift Room. And then we round up our convention schedule with a Who Would Win panel from 1 to 2 p.m. And that one with the usual suspects, Paleo, Saber, myself, and Beardy. And then in a number of these, I wouldn't be surprised if Gabe just shows up whenever he wants. So keep an eye on.
Will his audio quality be better?
I hope not.
I hope not either.
But yep, so that's our schedule. MLP MSP. If you somehow have the ability to make a decision to go to this convention in the next day because you haven't already, come. I'm very excited about this. Again, it's kind of a send off. It'll be, in a way, a preliminary con send off because the next convention for I think all of us is going to be BronyCon.
Where everyone is going.
Yep. So
Everyone.
MLP,
Yep.
MSP,
Everyone.
F. June 14th through the 16th, 2019. Check out their website for details, and we hope to see each and every one of you there. Cannot wait to go out to Minneapolis one more time. All right, so with that, we can go ahead and move on to our next topic. I'm going to mention this one more time, actually. MLP, MSP, we will be doing a Hooves line, as we mentioned, and retweeted on our Twitter right now, on the Semi-Perfect Podcast Twitter. If you're not following it, follow it, because that is where you can submit Whose Line lines, as well as scenes from a hat that we will be using. Sarah's going to be going over those to help decipher which ones will end up in the show. And I know that right now, I think a lot of us kind of were like, oh crap, it's this week, because I know we put out the submissions a little later than usual.
Yeah.
So we're in dire need of submissions. So please send those in. Okay. Now, like we said, lots of topics in this show. And the last topic of the show, I'm not going to have a lot of input for this one, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have stuff to say, because E3 happened this weekend. And I imagine that there were some personal highlights for each of you, and what
Yes.
I'm wondering what you guys are looking forward to most. Take it away.
Yes.
Paleo.
So, yeah,
Halo Infinite.
yeah.
Like he said, it only comes through when it's important stuff.
Yeah, Halo.
Or
They
when
announced
you-
Halo Infinite is going to be launching with the what Project Scarlet, their Microsoft's next Xbox console next year, and during holiday 2020, and that'll be the first time Halo's launched with a console since the first Xbox. So that'll be interesting.
So start saving up is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Oh, I hope that they reconnect to their roots with this game.
yeah.
Like,
Of,
I don't
of
know.
killing aliens?
yeah, it just I don't know.
He has a system. I don't understand why he's just floating conveniently in space. Like, I'm hoping that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. There was I mean, Paleo and Hero, you guys probably recall and know more information about what's been shown at the
Yeah.
different conferences. But like, just on top of your head, like, what are some games that jumped out to you where it's like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that?
Now we're Heroes 3.
Final Fantasy VIII Remaster, Seiken Densetsu 3 Remake. Paleo can confirm that I legit squealed.
Yeah,
All.
like it was like they gave it an English title, Trials of Mana, and they're actually released on the same day the collection of Mana with all 3 games in the series, which is getting a physical release later.
Yes, it's very nice. And everyone else I talked to that wasn't Paleo and my brother are like, what's that? And I'm just like, that's fine, I know. But I just want to like Call of Duty, man. It'd be so much. I want my favorite Pokemon to be Eevee. I want it's just everything would be so much easier if I just like pulled work.
But
Keep
then
being yourself, man. That's what makes life worth living.
at the a couple of Smash characters were revealed. The Dragon Quest heroes, where you could be like the different heroes from the different games, and Banjo-Kazooie, which is awesome, and that means like I keep calling them Microscoff.
Well, I mean, they have put out some laughable material recently.
So Microsoft and Nintendo's relationship are just getting closer and closer. So it implies a lot of things.
Chief actually was in Smash. That would be insane.
Yeah,
I'm more excited for the implications of what Banjo being in Smash could be, as opposed to Banjo actually being in Smash.
yeah, because we could get a new game at some point, which would be great.
Which would be nice because the characters could be out of copyright hell.
Yeah.
What about like at the very end of the Nintendo conference, they like, oh yeah, and Zelda 2 or whatever. Or like
Yeah,
Breath of the
yeah,
Wild.
a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, it seems, and it's looks like it's going to be super dark.
which is good.
great.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Animal
And short hair.
Crossing.
Friggin' zombie Ganondorf.
Yes, my favorite Zelda is Twilight Princess, and I would like another game to be as like dark and serious as that one. That'd be cool.
Animal Crossing.
Oh,
Yeah, Animal Crossing. Which actually looks really good.
I love it. Oh my god.
Wait,
I'm so excited.
What was it?
New
One of the villagers in that said like it's like raining outside, just hang out for a little bit, or it's chilly outside or something. She said hang out for a bit. I was like, does that mean you're gonna have a lot of dialogue so we can actually hang out instead of you repeating the same lines over and over? Because if so, Animal Crossing's gonna skyrocket to one of my favorite games ever. If every villager that's there, they could even cut down on the villagers. I wouldn't even care. But if every villagers, you could like hang out with them and they would always talk to you in a different way. Oh, what a beautiful game! Just mwah.
Yeah, you're in an island this time, and you get to like customize like stuff on the island. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm.
And
so
you craft
excited.
stuff.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to like Animal Crossing. It's like so close to a game that I want to play, but never quite makes it. So I'm hoping that this one will be the thing.
I thought you were just gonna stop it. It's so close to a game.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for
It's a deck collection simulator. Is basically what it is.
Basically.
Oh, that's like my profession.
It's just cool that you can craft. Yeah, crafting feels like something you should definitely just do in Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
What do you craft in it?
Nothing yet.
So there was a couple of new Pokemon shown during the Treehouse or during the demos at E3. There's one called Impidimp, which is like a little gremlin.
Yeah.
There's an electric corgi called Yamper.
Yeah.
With the heart butt.
Yamper?
Yeah.
With a heart butt.
And there's Wooloo, which is Lammy.
Lammy, your Pokemon.
Not quite, but yeah.
Wooloo is Lammy.
Yeah, at the Square Enix conference, they showed a lot of the Final Fantasy VII remake, which is looking really, really good. They showed the Avengers project, the new game that's coming out next year from Square, which is from the developers, Crystal Dynamics. They developed the new Tomb Raider trilogy, so they're working on that game. So it'll be interesting what they do with that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Sounds like some good news coming out.
So I know you guys have watched a couple years worth of these E3 releases. Was this year one of the good ones?
There's a lot of stuff coming out that I'm interested in playing. Like I have a list of stuff that I want to get like month by month. Oh yeah, Mario Maker 2 like comes out later this month. I'm very excited for that. Yeah.
Boy.
I'm just looking forward to playing the first Tetris. I'm almost up to that.
You know what else? You know what else is coming out incredibly soon that actually we didn't talk about even one bit?
What?
Let's Go comes out in 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll just have to watch it at the convention.
Let's go! Let's go! That show is so much fun. I love its aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
I have yet.
My cat
Oh
is
yeah,
really
friggin' they showed more of Astral Chain, the game by Platinum that's coming to Switch. That's looking really good. And it's coming out sooner than I thought. It's coming out in August.
Nice.
So, oh yeah, the Link's Awakening remake that's coming out in September. They teased a little thing where it's like it's sort of like a Zelda maker, but not quite. You can make like your own dungeons from the dungeons you've already played. So it's probably something to where they're kind of testing the water for maybe like a Zelda maker or something. So we'll see. But Link's Awakening was my favorite Zelda before Breath of the Wild came out, so I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, it looks cute.
Sarah's over here just playing with her Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, I know. I
the whole
haven't
time.
like put it down for more than like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. At that Pokemon press conference, they said, "Oh yeah, there's a sequel to the Detective Pikachu for the 3DS coming to the Switch."
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
It's okay, Sarah. I understand. When I was at BronyCon and I bought the Nala,
Yeah.
I didn't let go of the thing. Like I forgot who I gave it to. I think I gave it to Jax to like put back in the room. And as soon as I gave it away, I was like, no wait,
He's just so
Oh, yeah.
cuddly.
It is. Yeah.
Elias said in the chat, Doom Eternal. Yeah, that was the best thing of Bethesda's conference, because Bethesda's conference was mostly bad. Bethesda, like, that audience, I don't know what was wrong with that audience. They cheered at fucking everything, and even it was like, just, it was dumb.
Yeah.
Sarah showed me something earlier. I don't know if it's been discussed yet in regards to the character or characters that Nintendo just reacquired.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like, they kind of hinted on it. Like, was the whole Banjo-Kazooie thing? Like, what's the whole, like, situation as to why that, like, is such a huge deal? I was trying to explain it, but I don't know a lot about it.
You
So,
want to go for it, Kelly?
yeah,
he wants to go for it.
so Rareware was a developer, in the 80s and 90s, and Nintendo had them for a while. And they developed games like the Donkey Kong Country series, Donkey Kong 64, Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, the GoldenEye game on N64, and then the Banjo-Kazooie games. But then during the early 2000s, Microsoft bought Rareware.
Yeah.
So like all of their properties, their original properties that weren't like Donkey Kong, because that would belong to Nintendo, went to Microsoft. So Microsoft had stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, Conker, Perfect Dark. They had those franchises. So the possibility of like having something that Microsoft owns come to a Nintendo console was pretty unlikely. But since like the past couple of years, like Nintendo and Microsoft have been like buddy with like stuff. So with like all the crossplay and everything, it seems like Microsoft's like, oh yeah, we'd love to have Banjo in Smash, and it happened. So yeah, because it would
At this point, like if Sora shows up in Smash, it'd be like, oh my
Sony. Actually, it's not Sony. It's Square. It's
Roger
their
Rabbit.
fault.
Yeah.
It's also partially Disney's call. So.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But yeah, it's just Banjo-Kazooie.
The thing, I think Doom Guy would be more likely than Sora.
Dude, Doom would be hilarious. He'd like chainsaw Yoshi's head off.
The implication. It's just nice to have Banjo-Kazooie in Smash because, like I said earlier, they're basically stuck in copyright hell, and nothing can be done with those characters for such a long time. And people love Banjo-Kazooie. It's a very fun game. So.
Well, cool.
So it's nice. It's nice to see that the big guys are playing nice for once.
For once, and Sony's just like, yeah, don't talk to us.
Yeah, because they didn't even have a conference this year because they're like, we're not gonna do one.
E3 is dead, man. It's not dead at all, but
yeah.
All right. Well, any last words on E3 and games? Good.
I have stuff I want to play.
Yes.
I have stuff I want to play. There's a lot of interesting things that are coming up. Kitty, please.
I am
There's a
willing
lot
to
of
wait for
interesting-
Animal Crossing.
Well, we're at that point of the show where we're going to be doing our Q&A. Sarah just linked. So send your questions on Twitter to #SPPQuestions, or you can submit a question through Super Chat, and the Super Chat questions that we do receive will be prioritized. So we will make sure that we give those extra time, as well as, like I said, prioritize them and answer those ones right away. Other than that, we will see. Right now, I'm going to say probably aim the podcast at 8 o'clock Pacific, so that's in 10 minutes.
Did you say aim the podcast?
Yes, you did.
I was buffering.
Yeah.
But we'll see as far as how the question list is going, if we're going to add a few extra minutes to that. But that'll be our goal. So, so we'll jump in here. There's a question that I saw immediately, and I'm like, I want this answered for sure. Okay. It's from Jazz King, and Jazz King's asking, Sarah, what is the best and worst part of being in a React with Race?
Best
All of
part, the best part is
the money.
Actually not having to sit on the floor while he's doing a react.
You
And-
said you liked the floor.
I do, but no, it's fun.
Do you
to
guys
have-
not have another chair?
I do. Sometimes I'll sit in the chair, but sometimes I just get into a little pillow fort on the floor. No, but I would probably say the best part is just having fun with my husband.
Aww.
And worst part is being part of his more physical jokes, in which this past react he did a joke where he said a word and spit goes flying out of his mouth. It was water, but still it was gross because it had been in his mouth for like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Well,
So it's half water, half spit.
oh, it was half spit and half something else. I'll tell you what.
That something else is water.
We're hoping.
Water and air. All right. Let's see here. Going through our questions. Here's a question for everybody.
God. I just had one of those moments where I was like, holy shit, I'm me. Like, you know what I'm talking about? You have a moment where you look in the mirror and you're just like, I inhabit my body. I just had a moment where I'm like, Race is my friend. He's a person.
Aw.
I have those, yeah. It's when you just like take a step back and everything is like at its base level.
Yeah, it's like what is consciousness? You know, what makes me me? What do I have? You know,
Do
that's
you really exist?
I don't know. It's weird. It's best not to think about it.
I messed up myself
Having these
at a,
weird thoughts lately.
I had myself at like really messed myself up as a kid when I thought about like what was I thinking about before I was born, and then I was like, whoa.
It'll blow your mind. Like I remember like the concept of infinity forever. I was like, wait a second. How? So yeah, what was before nothing? I don't know. Where did something come from? Nothing? I don't know.
Really,
but pizza's pretty good.
Yes, I love pizza. Anime Guy 01 has a question for everybody, asking, "What's your favorite mythology you enjoy reading about?"
Greek. I'm boring.
Well, what classifies like mythology exactly? Like, does it have to be like?
I think just any like mythological story that you've either read in like say school or whatever. Like Hercules, like you can be like, oh, Hercules is my favorite mythology.
Well, man, I'm a huge
Oh,
fan-
I know one.
I know. What?
It's sort of like a siren, but it's about an Amazon river dolphin that turns into a human.
Is it that Wild Thornberries episode?
It's basically that's what
That was a
that's
Wild
what that
Thornberries
episode's based
episode.
on.
What
Is like that whole legend
Okay.
of
You
like
just
a
wanna
dolphin
bang a
becoming
dolphin, don't
becoming
you?
a human.
He just wants to bang.
Yeah.
Does it get out of the water and go? That was my best dolphin impression.
It's pretty
I
good.
forgot what
It's not
the
bad.
legend is called.
It's called the Legend of the Blow Bowl. I don't know.
The Blow Bowl.
I'm tired.
The blow bowl?
I know what I'm talking about.
Poor Saber, I can literally see your eyes.
I like
getting
mythology. Huh? Does it have to be like one story, or can it be a universe of stories, or
you,
what?
You tell me. Anything in particular that you like?
There's a lot of like funny, like Laura. When you were at MomoCon, you got to hear about those Japanese horror stories.
Oh, fun.
That's not mythology.
Oh, never mind. Take it back. She didn't know anything about Japan.
Well, I mean, what separates mythology from folk stories?
Nothing.
I don't know. Like, reputation.
God.
Asking
Oh
the
yeah,
correct questions.
here it is. It says the legend of the pink river dolphin like is believed that in the evening the river dolphin can transform itself into a man, hypnotizing and seducing unsuspecting young women.
Oh,
Paleo's like,
And Paleo.
I may not be a young woman, but take me.
Paleo's dressed as a woman trying to trick the dolphin. This wasn't part of our deal. Got you.
So,
Yeah, it says yes. Similarly, in the Brazilian Amazon, the pink dolphin is known as the Boto cor-de-rosa, According to folklore, he often joins the Festa Junina June parties, disguised as a human male wearing a hat to hide the hole on the top of his head. In this form, he is said to seduce and make love to women, disappearing into the waters when the morning comes. This is why in some parts of Brazil, people will call a child with no father a child of the Boto.
Huh.
Okay. All right.
So Jon Snow.
Yikes.
Well, there you go.
Here's a question that I think will have some people with opinions. Ozzy-all. I'm going to read this how it's typed.
Oh, God, Ozzy. I know Ozzy's still a mystery after all these years.
I love it. Always smiling at us, though, with that
Ozzy's he's a good one.
Walmart smiley face. Thoughts on Nickelodeon is making a prequel series based on SpongeBob called Camp Coral, which was announced after the passing of the creator he disrespects because he doesn't want to spin off. Also, Saber, are you planning to a video to What Ruined Nick?
I already did a What Ruined Nickelodeon back in the day.
I think he probably means SpongeBob, though.
I mean, yeah,
you did
for
a
those
video
that
on
don't
that, too.
know, there's a spin-off coming from SpongeBob called Camp Coral. One of the guys who worked with Steven Hillenburg and worked on the show said, like, in a tweet, how he's like, this is so insanely disrespectful. This is not what Steven wanted. And Nickelodeon essentially waited until Steven died, and now they're like, okay, let's do it. So it's pretty terrible.
Is that actually... Okay, I was wondering why people were so up in arms about it, and is it specifically that they waited until he couldn't say no?
I guess. I mean, maybe they wanted to avoid the bad press because they own SpongeBob, and they're not going to stop making SpongeBob. It's their version of Mickey Mouse. But like, yeah, it just seems kind of trashy that it's like they don't really have any respect for the creator at this point. It's all financial. So
Was it just the one guy that called it disrespectful, or is it a pretty universal agreement that it's disrespectful? to pursue
The guy who
project?
said it was disrespectful said, like, he's like, no shame to people who are working on this show because there are people who just need jobs, so we can't hold that against them. But like the suits at Nickelodeon who are like, yeah, let's make this happen. It's like, oh, that's kind of scummy, you guys. But whatever. I mean, hey, maybe it's amazing. I don't know. Like I talked to Jim about this, and Jim's like, let's wait until the show comes out, then we can really form an opinion about this and do talk about SpongeBob on the channel.
Yeah.
But from where it stands, it's just kind of like a bit concerning that one of Steven's good friends who worked on the show along with him was like, yeah, Steven wouldn't have liked this.
Well,
Gotcha.
Yikes. Okay. That's an interesting predicament. Like you said, Nickelodeon owns it, so they could do whatever they want, but maybe the timing is a little weird for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to acknowledge two questions here. One of them we could probably still answer. But as some people may have noticed, Gabe's internet was horrendous, and we
lost him.
It was very sad.
We lost him a while ago. So we will hopefully get that resolved moving forward. I saw that Taylor did submit a question, but it was in regards to a race I haven't yet seen. So I had to avert my eyes for the potential of any spoilers. My eyes. So yeah, he was in specific. Ask me in 2 weeks, Taylor, about whatever it was, because it hasn't aired yet on TV, so I haven't seen it myself. I was working at the time. Now Nora had a question, saying first of all, cupcakes for everyone except Gabe, which is good.
Aww.
Her question was for Gabe, but it doesn't mean we can't dip into it. Asking, what is your craziest story involving a pet?
Involving a what?
pet.
A pet.
Ooh, Laura, do you have any come to mind?
Sarah?
No, there was a time my dog got hit by a skunk.
Oh no.
Like it punched him?
No.
No, it like turned around and gave him the full rear end salute.
Gave him an uppercut.
He got hit by a skunk. I thought you were
Right-
gonna say he got
right
hit.
in the face.
I thought you were gonna say he got hit by a car. To which I'm like, that's
No, that would just be sad.
yeah, that's not.
So then, dripping with skunk spray, he proceeded to bolt right back in through the dog door, into our living room, and proceed to try and wipe his face off on the couch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
At which point, my parents were awakened by the commotion. I was not. Apparently, I'm a heavy sleeper. I slept right through all this. I woke up to a very curious smell, however.
Yeah.
They then proceeded to try and, catch him to keep him from doing any further things, which then led to a chase around the house.
I always sometimes think back to some stuff that I did with my dog when I was a kid, and I'm like, as an adult thinking back, I feel like people would be like, that's animal cruelty, but as a kid, I just you don't think of like, oh, which I'll get into what I'm saying, because there's obviously a very vague opening there. We had a fort in my backyard when I grew up, and I had this big old golden retriever. Loved him. His name was Strider, and he was my dog. And I couldn't understand. I was trying to help him gain confidence because he never wanted to go down the slide.
Oh no.
And so I helped get him to the slide.
Okay.
And he handled it fine. Like, it's not like he took a bad tumble or anything, but I was like, oh, he didn't like that very much. But I'll always remember when I, quote, convinced my dog to go. I mean, this dog was bigger than I was. If he really wanted to knock me over, he could have. But I think he wanted to go down the slide secretly. Good dog. But yeah, I was probably like 8. Come on, doggy, doggy, doggy. Yeah. I had a frog.
Oh, yeah?
I named her Shelly because there was a shell, and she liked the shell.
Okay. Nice. Good story.
Anyone else have crazy pet stories? Well, fine.
Nope, clearly you're the only one.
Yeah. Well, I think there's one. So some of these questions, there was one from Fritz Roll, and I think it's unfortunately Fritz Roll's second time sending this question in, but it was for Gabe. So, like we said, we'll try and get that on the fix. There are also some questions that were potentially dipping into potential spoiler conversation. So I'm being careful with those. But the question that I guess we'll end with is from Imperfect13, asking, what was your least favorite showing at this year's E3?
Ooh.
Probably that Contra.
Oh no, in the entirety of Ubisoft. Like, it was fucking
all of it.
Like, so boring.
So that's my least favorite was that they did not announce a
Zootopia
video game. Yeah. By the way, that reminds me, maybe a topic for next time, but there was a game a show that Paleo pointed out to us that's in the works right now. Involving
Because the Annecy Festival was going on.
Chippendale! So there's a new Chippendale show coming out. Well,
it's not Rescue Rangers, but it is set in New York, it seems.
Yeah, it is Chippendale though.
It's Chippendale and it's set in New York. I think it's a stepping stone of some sort.
We're getting there. There apparently, we've mentioned this before because I heard it I think it was at Winnie City. I heard about this. It was either Winnie City or Everfree, where they're apparently back on that live action Rescue Ranger movie. Yeah. And they got Lonely Island of all people making it.
Yeah.
So I'm
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, okay, I'm down.
I'm more excited for the shorts than I am for the.
I'm excited for the movie. I will say this much, just to finish that topic up. Like we said, we could get more into it on the next show in 2 weeks. But as far as the movie goes, I have more hope for it now because originally the person who was supposed to be directing it, I'm pretty sure was someone who their credentials were commercials. So at least I'm like, okay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's going to be a wrap here on the Semi Perfect Podcast. Sarah wants the show to end so she could play with her Detective Pikachu. Yeah. But thanks again to each of the podcasters showing up tonight. Of course, our live audience and those listening on delay. Our next show will be in 2 weeks. That will be June 26th. It will be a recap of MLP MSP. We will be discussing the newest My Little Pony episodes, one of which I think will be a heavy topic. And we will also be, hitting up balls. Who knows? Who knows what else there's going to be that we're going to be discussing. But so much. Thank you all for joining us. That is the end of the Semi-Perfect Podcast. You all have a good night.
Damn ponies.
Good night, guys.
See y'all.